Have you ever just looked at the world around you and wondered how it all fits together? Like, really, why are things the way they are? Well, today, we're going to unpack that exact question. We're going to look at society through four very, very different lenses. I mean, it's a massive question, isn't it? Is society some kind of well-oiled machine, or is it more like a constant battle for power? Maybe it's just something we all create together, day by day. Sociologists have been debating this stuff for centuries, and they've actually come up with some pretty powerful tools to help us find the answers. And that's the key right there. You have to think of these theories not as one-size-fits-all answers, but more like different lenses in a toolkit. Each one you put on brings a different part of our social world into focus, and suddenly you see details you would have totally missed before. The thing is, no single lens can show you the whole picture. So let's grab our first lens and see what comes into view. Okay, first up, functionalism. This one takes a really big, wide-angle view of society. It's like looking at everything from a helicopter, seeing the whole landscape at once. So functionalism basically sees society as a living thing, an organism, almost like the human body. Every single part, the family, the economy, our education system, it all has a specific job to do. Just like your heart and your lungs work together to keep you alive, these social institutions are all working together to keep society stable and running smoothly. So from this perspective, if something exists in society, it must serve a purpose, or what they call a function. I mean, take schools, for example. Their function isn't just teaching you math and history, right? It's also about socializing us, teaching us society's rules and norms. And get this, even something like social inequality is seen as functional. The idea is that the promise of bigger rewards motivates people to go through all the training for those difficult, super important jobs, making sure all the roles in society get filled. All right, let's switch to a completely different lens. If functionalism sees society as this peaceful, cooperating organism, well, conflict theory sees it as a chaotic battlefield. Yeah, this theory, which was heavily influenced by Karl Marx, argues that society isn't about stability at all. It's about competition. Different groups are in this constant power struggle, always fighting over limited resources like money, power, and status. It's kind of like a zero-sum game. For one group to win, another one has to lose. From this point of view, the powerful and the wealthy don't just happen to have more stuff. Oh no. They actively design the rules of the game, of society, to keep it that way. So social institutions like the legal system or education, they aren't working for everyone's benefit. They're tools used by the dominant group to maintain their advantage. So inequality isn't functional. It's the unfair result of oppression, plain and simple.
Now this is where you can really see the difference, right? This chart lays it out perfectly. For functionalism, inequality is a feature that keeps society moving forward. For conflict theory, it's a bug, a deep injustice built right into the system by the people at the top. So you've got two huge macro-level theories and two totally opposite conclusions about the same thing.
Okay, let's put away the helicopter goggles for a minute and grab a magnifying glass. We're shifting from that big macro level down to the micro level with symbolic interactionism. This lens isn't about huge structures. It's about us, our everyday lives. This theory argues that society is literally built from the ground up. It's built one conversation, one gesture, one single interaction at a time. Reality isn't some fixed thing that's just out there. Nope, it's something we actively create together by agreeing on what things mean. Our whole world is basically made up of shared symbols. I mean, think about it. Money is just paper and metal, but we all give it the shared meaning of value. And this applies to people too. If a teacher labels a student as gifted, they might start treating that student differently, giving them more encouragement. And that, in turn, helps the student actually succeed. The label doesn't just describe reality, it helps create it. And this little breakdown just shows it perfectly. A wedding ring, it's just a piece of metal, right? But we as a society have all agreed it symbolizes marriage. And because of that shared meaning, we interact with someone wearing it differently than we would otherwise. We are constantly constructing our social reality through these simple symbolic steps every single day. All right, for our fourth and final lens, we're going to focus on one of the most fundamental organizing principles of social life, gender. Feminist theory looks at society by asking a really simple but powerful question: how does gender affect this situation? And it argues that for most of human history, our social world has been shaped by patriarchy, which is a system where men hold the primary positions of power and authority. And that has created a whole lot of disadvantages for women. This lens shows us that what we think of as masculine or feminine isn't some biological destiny. It's socially constructed. We're taught these roles by our families, by our schools, by the media. And the goal of this theory isn't just to point out the inequality. It's to actively challenge those stereotypes and work towards a society that is truly equal for everyone, no matter their gender.
And this is just such a powerful idea. It shows how an individual's personal experience, like, say, facing sexism at work or feeling the pressure to do all the housework, isn't just a you problem. It's connected to these huge structural patterns of gender inequality that are literally woven into the fabric of our society. So let's bring it all home. As you can see here, we've got our four lenses. We have two that look at the big picture, one that zooms way in, and one that kind of does both. Functionalism is always asking about purpose, conflict theory is always asking about power, interactionism asks about meaning, and feminist theory asks about gender. To really truly get a complete picture of what's going on, you've got to be able to use all of them. See, each lens reveals something true, but each one has its own blind spots too. The real power comes from learning how to switch between them. So the question I'm going to leave you with is this. As you go about your day, which lens are you going to use? Which one best explains the world that you see all around you?